what society teaches us about self-worth. Welcome to the Hopefulist with me, Wendy McClure. This is where we turn those nasty, negative thoughts into positive and work toward a happy, fulfilled life. Now, let's get started. Hello, good morning, happy new week, whenever you may be listening to this. And thank you, as always, for joining me here on the Hopefulist. Starting out with the quote of the day, listen up. Ye old sit down and shut up is the road to success. Even 5 minutes of meditating a day can help you connect to the peace and power that's always available to you, as opposed to staying hooked by the distractions and the fear. So close your eyes, keep gently moving aside all the thoughts that come into your head, and surrender the reins to the universe. We all know that getting silent and, embracing the quiet is really the answer to so many things, but yet we can't seem to force ourselves to do it. Why? Because we know what will come with that we'll have no excuse to no longer be stuck, that we will have to confront things that we don't necessarily want to confront, that we will search inside ourselves and find things that we've been trying to bury our whole lives. So this whole personal growth thing, it's hard. It is hard. You have to face things that you've been trying not to face your whole life. But these are the things that are keeping you stuck. So get a little quiet with yourself. Stop all of the distractions. And we're all guilty of that. We have these phones. And as Brendan Burchard likes to point out, do not bash yourself for falling prey to the distraction of the phone. They are paying people millions of dollars to do just that, to steal our attention, to keep us focused on what they want us to focus on, whether it be social media or silly games on our phone or whatever. There are often times that I'm sitting down to journal and I'll just start to get into the good stuff and I'll just look at my phone and be like, oh, well, let me just check this real quick. And you know what that means? That means I'm putting it off. I'm finding a reason to not dive in deeper. And that's where all the good stuff is. Is it scary? Oh, yeah, definitely. You're confronting things that you've not wanted to confront. But this is what helps you heal and grow and become a better, bigger person. It's what helps you come into your own and to be who you've always meant to be. And yeah, it's very scary at times. So, know that going in and be brave enough to face the fear. It's hard. I know it's hard. I still have issues with it, and I've been doing this a long time. But this is the way to having a fully satisfying, meaningful life, to figuring out what it is that you believe you are meant to do with your one and only life. So I want to give you a little update on the quest to never diet again. I'm constantly back and forth. I have yet to go back to diet mode. So that is some good news. I'm still, hovering right around the same weight that I had been for the last month or so. So I'm not putting on any more weight as of this moment, which is good news. Still higher than I'd like to be. But, some of the benefits of not dieting is I don't make food the priority in my life. I don't make what my next meal is the end-all be-all of my day. As somebody who dieted for 40 plus years, I can tell you that it makes you obsessed with food. All you can think about is the next meal. as soon as I would finish one meal, I'd be like, well, okay, well, in like an hour or two, I can have a banana with some peanut butter on it. Or, it's just this constant obsession with food and when you get to eat again. And I don't really have that now because I know that I can eat what I want, that I know that the food is going to be there and I'm allowed to have it. And I think that really is the key to this whole intuitive eating thing, is when you are constantly denying yourself food that you want and food that you love, it just turns you into this maniac that has to have that food, and nobody can survive on brownies alone. We know that. But, through this process that I've been going through the last couple of months, I do crave healthy food. Just yesterday, we had gone to the supermarket in the morning and we had not eaten breakfast yet. And I had said, I saw this coffee cake and I was like, you know what? I just don't feel like something pastry and sugary. I felt like something, satisfying, fortifying. So it's like, let's get some bagels and, we'll make like a breakfast sandwich. We had some bacon at home. We made a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich on a bagel. That's not the most healthy breakfast, but it's better than a coffee cake. It's the way I look at it. But we also got the coffee cake. And then later in the morning, had a little coffee cake break. So, it's one of those things where I think especially in the beginning, you do go a little crazy. You do want to eat all of these things that you've been denying yourself for so long, but then you start to level off and you start to want chicken and you start to want a salad and you start to want some of the healthier things. And I think that's what it's all about. This is a process. You're not going to, make a change of something that you've done for 40 years overnight. So for right now, I'm still sticking with it. Really, really would love to lose a couple of pounds. Not really sure how to go about that with the intuitive eating style, but I'm hanging in there for now. We'll see how it goes. So we've been talking about self-worth and how Generation X women have obtained their sense of self-worth or lack of self-worth. We've talked about how your family has contributed to that. We've talked about how just growing up in the generation that we has contributed to that. Today I wanted to talk about society and their part in shaping our self-worth. And this is big. This is huge because there is so much going on when it comes to the expectations of society and the messages that we get from the time that we are pretty small. Now, always the, Feminine Pads has a commercial out. And you can, Google it, hashtag like a girl. Always Pads, hashtag like a girl, and it should come right up. This is a fascinating video about, it looks like they're auditioning young women for a part or something. And what they're telling them is to run like a girl, throw like a girl. And, they're running like, crazy, like all silly. They're throwing and like, in the way that they throw, it's like, goes right down on the ground, like basically mocking the way girls run, mocking the way girls throw, fight like a girl. They, slap and, pull hair and stuff like that. And the interesting part of this video is then they get to a point where they ask like 9 and 10-year-old girls, okay, run like a girl. They run normal. Okay, throw like a girl. They throw really far. Fight like a girl. They fight like anybody would fight. So there is this message that we get sometime after 10 years old that being like a girl means silly, ridiculous, stupid, not taken seriously. And I found it to be very fascinating that the 9 and 10-year-olds did not have this message as of yet. But once they hit around 12 or 13, everything changed. So why is this? Well, probably because that's when you start paying attention to more outside influences. So what are the messages that we're getting? Let's say, what are the messages we're getting from television, movies? For us Gen Xers, it was magazines. Magazines were very prevalent in our lives. Not so much anymore, but for us, we were always buying magazines. And they were, Cosmopolitan or, just think about some of the articles that you would see on a random cover of Cosmopolitan. 10 ways to satisfy your man. Those were the things that we were picking up and reading. Those were the things that were forming our opinions. Let's talk about television. What do all the girls look like on television? Normally they're small. Normally they're thin. Normally they're quiet and know their place. And those that aren't quiet and act out are known as troublemakers. So these are all sending signals to us as children growing up in this country. I talk about TV shows even as we get older. I remember when Desperate Housewives came out, and I was like, okay, so this is what I'm supposed to look like in my 40s? Like Terry Hatcher, who doesn't have an ounce of fat on her. All of the women that were on that show, they're like Stepford wives, gorgeous and thin and wearing the best clothes. Okay, yeah, most of us are not in a position to look like that in our 40s. But yet the show is reminding us that there are women out there that do, making us feel bad, making us feel like we aren't enough. These are all things that gather together to just make us feel like crap about ourselves. I think I mentioned before is, now that I'm in my 50s, Jennifer Lopez is on the cover of some magazine and says, this is 50 with her 6-pack abs and, fabulous body. And I'm like, yeah, that's great for Jennifer Lopez, but she is far, far from common. She may not have anything else to do except spend 4 or 5 hours a day in the gym working on her body. Most of us do not have that luxury. And even if we did have that luxury, some of us just don't find it to be worth it. But yet, we still seem to feel bad about ourselves for not having that body, especially in that moment. We see that magazine and we're like, oh, geez, look at her. And then you look down and you're like, look at me. Social media has just made this problem 100 times worse. We're constantly looking at social media and comparing. This person has all of these luxury brands. This person has a fabulous car. Look at the house that person has. I want that house. It is a constant barrage of things coming at you that you may want for yourself, and you're very far from it. So what does that do? It makes you feel bad. And feeling bad is never going to get you what you want. I've said this a million times. You can't shame your way to success. But this is what has been ingrained in us, Gen X women, for our whole lives. We have to, we want to be envied. We want to be envied by everybody. And when we see that people have so much more than us, it makes us feel less valuable. The other thing is keeping up with the Joneses. It doesn't even have to do with TV, movies, social media. Sometimes it's just competing with your neighbors. Oh, well, they just got a pool. We got to get a pool now. Oh, they have a Mercedes. Oh, I'm going to get a BMW. Or, even when it comes to your friends. Oh, she's walking around with a Louis Vuitton purse. Oh, she just got a fabulous new coat. We're making these things make us feel bad about ourselves if we're not in a position to keep up. Same thing with your coworkers. This is why people brag. They brag to make themselves feel better while at the same time making you feel like crap because you don't have what they have. And I don't think a lot of this is intentional. It's just the way that we've learned to be by societal standards. So what do we do about all of this? Well, first and foremost, and this is the hardest, stop comparing. You just have to stop comparing. It's so difficult to do, I know. But, I'm no J-Lo. Not even close. I am not going to look like J-Lo no matter what I do. And that's okay. I don't make my money on how my body looks. She does. That's more important to her. So we have to stop comparing ourselves to celebrities, people who have all the money in the world to hire the best trainers and the best dietitians and who don't have to work a normal job and take care of all of the household duties along with keeping up with the children and all that. She's got someone to do everything for her. Stop comparing yourself to social media. Stop comparing yourself to television shows. Stop comparing yourself to your neighbors, to your friends, to your coworkers. Eyes on your own paper, right? We've been hearing that since we were kids. That goes now as well. It's hard to not see what everybody else has. But that is when gratitude comes in. As long as you are grateful for what you already have, you cannot at the same time be jealous of what other people have. It can't happen at the same time. And that's why I have found that keeping a gratitude journal was one of the best and most life-changing things in my life. Is it switched me from focusing on what I don't have on focusing what I do have. And because we all have so much that we take for granted, that we don't even realize that we are already so blessed and we have so much. And it may not be exactly what we think that we want, but it's so much that is more than enough. So instead of focusing on what you don't have, focus on what you do have. Gratitude. With that comes the other issue that's going to help you is to know your priorities. As I just mentioned, looking with a certain way with six-pack abs is a priority to Jennifer Lopez because that is part of her livelihood, is to pose for magazines, to be in movies, to sell whatever it is that she sells. That's all part of her image in order to keep doing that. So that's her priority, is to look that way. What is your priority? It doesn't have to be the way you look. Maybe it's the way that you feel. Maybe it's the work that you do. Maybe it's being the best mother you know how to be. What is your priority? And what comes along with that priority and what doesn't come along with that priority? Does your weight have anything to do with the type of mother that you are? More than likely not. So know your own priorities and know what it is and what it takes for you to be the best you possible and what doesn't matter. Because there's a lot that doesn't matter. And we have been forced to think that things like appearance matter most when it doesn't. These are the lies. These are the limiting beliefs that we have been feeding into our whole lives. Not everybody looks the same. We're supposed to celebrate that. It's supposed to be a good thing. When you're, you're a teenager, you just want to blend in, right? But then when you get older, you realize that you'd really rather stand out, that those are the people who go places in life, the people who don't just follow along with the rest of them, the people who make their own way, the people who make their own rules. Those are the people who get what they want in life. And I want to be one of those people. How about you? Okay, the third and final thing we can do to help combat against letting society dictate to us about our own self-worth is to use less social media. Okay, this is really a simple one. This is one that I never really got caught up in to begin with. Following accounts of people that make me jealous or feel bad. I have never followed a Kardashian. I've never followed, I don't even know because I don't follow them. But these people who live these extravagant lives, who have the best of the best, who, look incredible and have amazing clothes and wonderful cars and live in these big mansions and, have these Christmas cards that are tailored and it looks like they have the perfect little family. I don't follow people like that because, one, it's all a facade. Nobody's life is perfect. Nobody is putting up the pictures of themselves binge eating in the middle of the night, crying because their husband and them got into an argument. Nobody's posting those pictures. So these are curated highlight reels of people's lives. And it makes it seem like their lives are perfect. And guess what? Nobody's life is perfect. Nobody's life is perfect. Some people have easier lives than others, but nobody gets through life without having any problems or issues. It's just not possible. So if you are following people that are literally making you feel jealous or bad about yourself, you know what you should do? Hit that unfollow button. Really, it's just that simple. I have really kept my Instagram to just being powerful, positive people. I follow people who are putting out inspiration every day and motivation and positivity. I don't follow people who I think are going to make me feel bad about myself or jealous. I don't follow any of those people. I just follow people who are going to lift me up and make me feel good. Because why else would I want to even be on it? Why do I want to look at something that's just bringing me down? But yet we all do it. We all do it. Because it's so easy to do. So stop. Stop following people who make you feel bad. Stop following people who make you feel jealous. Stop following people who really don't add anything to your life. It's okay to follow some, celebrities and famous people if they're giving you something that you really, need, that's uplifting you and making you feel better about yourself. But if it's just, watching somebody else drive away in their Mercedes Benz, then no, you don't need that. You don't need that in your life. So stop letting society tell you what is important in your life. This is what you get to decide. And it's been hard for us Gen Xers because we've had this pounded into our heads for decades. But the rules are changing. We get to call our own shots now. We get to claim our life. And that means that we get to build it. We get to decide what is important and what isn't. And that's when you get quiet with yourself. And that's when you tap into the intuition that tells you what it is that is truly important to you. It's okay to want, some things that, luxury brands or, if you could afford a Mercedes, fine, go get a Mercedes. I'm not trashing people who have them. I'm just saying don't be jealous of people who have them if you can't afford to have one. Or don't want something just because it's going to impress other people if it's not something that's already important to you. You know, it's like buying an ugly car just because it's the cool car to have. You get what I'm saying? I think you get what I'm saying. So 3 things to try and turn this around of societal expectations and how they affect our self-worth is to stop comparing ourselves to others, to know our own priorities. And that is how we will get closer to what we truly want. And stop following people on social media that make you feel like crap. There is just no reason for it. There's just no reason for it. So I hope that you got a little bit out of this today, that you can find a little more sense of your own self-worth and stop letting society dictate to you what you should and should not be. If you have a chance, check out my website. I have just redone a lot of the website. I'm pretty proud of it. I hope that you enjoy it. And if any of this information today resonated with you, I would urge you to please leave me a review, to hit that like, follow, or subscribe button if you have not already. And please share it with your friends. Do you have any friends that might struggle with self-worth? I know, it's so rare, isn't it? So please share this episode with your friends. Go ahead and just share one of my social media posts, or you can just hit that copy link button on the actual podcast and send it right to a friend. I would be most grateful. So it's Monday. I want you to go out there and have a great week and be badass. I'm here rooting you on. Thank you for listening to The Hopefulist. Now, don't you feel good? Make sure you come back next week. See you then.